Hi, welcome to Steve's Kitchen. I was looking through the freezer today. Look, I found these raspberries and they've got all the freezer burn on them. A lot of people wouldn't use them, but I'm not a big one for waste, so they're going to be made into a jam. Jam is so easy to make. I really would say invest in a jam thermometer. I think this one was just a few dollars, including delivery off of eBay, so they're not expensive, but we can turn these raspberries into a superb jam that will rival anything you can buy in the shops. Come on, let me show you how. So first, let's just get our fruit, give it a little break up, and then we want to just measure how much fruit we've got. Do it in cups. Raspberries are really great. They have a lot of pectin in them. I'll explain at the end of this what I mean by that. Now don't worry about the bits of ice, they're going to boil off, but you might need to compensate a little bit for volume. I've got 3 cups of fruit in there, so I'm going to add 3 cups of sugar, just granulated sugar. And keep in mind now this temperature, 220 degrees Fahrenheit, that's 105 degrees Celsius. That is the temperature we're going to be bringing this up to set the jam. So now we're going to take this over to the stove and bring it up to temperature. So I've got my sugar and my fruit on the stovetop here, and I'm just going to clip on my thermometer and we're going to drop that down into the sugar. As the sugar and the fruit melt into a syrup, we're going to monitor that temperature until we get up to 220 Fahrenheit or 105 Celsius. You'll see in a moment we're going to bring this up to a little bit of a simmering or a rolling boil. You'll notice fairly quickly that the sugar and the liquid from the fruit will come down to this slightly gritty texture, but the sugars will start to dissolve as the temperature comes up. Now, one thing I would recommend when you're making jams is to have a saucepan with a good heavy base on it. It really is a lot better at distributing the heat when you're melting sugars. Now, as the jam comes to the boil like this, all you have to do is monitor it. It might take about 20 minutes. Just stop it from bubbling over. We want it to continue to roll like this until it gets up to temperature. Another good tip is make sure your thermometer is not touching the bottom of the pan, because then the heat reading may be a little bit off. Now let's have a quick word about storing your jam whilst it comes up to temperature there on the stove. It's a good idea to keep little store-bought jars like this because they can be reused, or there's these reusable Kilner or Mason jars which are great. But we do need to get these cleaned and sterilized. So with hot water, boiling water, you want to sterilize your jars. And then just before you use them for your jams, I like to take fresh boiling water from a kettle and just pour it into each container. Now this will further sterilize the jar, but it will also bring the glass up to temperature. Be careful, this is not something to be doing for kids. You do have to be careful when you're handling this. But if we bring that glass back up to temperature, it means when you put the hot jam in there, there isn't going to be any chance the glass will crack. So just before the jam goes in, pour this away, and you've got a lovely hot glass there ready to take your hot jam. Now I'm also heating up a glass Pyrex pouring dish because my jam is now up to temperature. Now if you made jam regularly, you'd probably invest in a jam funnel. I'm going to pour that raspberry jam into the Pyrex. This is really just to make it easier to pour. Now look at that, that smells delicious. Now I can pour this directly into my jam jars or jelly jars, or preserve jars. Bring it close to the top, and then we can pop the lids on, seal them down. I'm going to be using this jam pretty much straight away, so I'll just pop that lid on, tighten it on there. Now as that cools down, this little poppy section in the middle will suck back down and seal it airtight. And there you have our raspberry preserve. Now I can tell you, I'm just going to put a little bit on a plate now to taste it for you. Take a white plate, pour a few drops on there, and you can see there's still a little bit warm there, but you can just see that is set beautifully. Now let's do a quick taste test, because I've got my homemade raspberry jam and I've got a leading brand from a store-bought one. I'm just going to try the store-bought one for you. That's a good jam. Let's try ours. Oh, they're quite close, but that is a better jam by far. And that from some freezer burn raspberries. Now, lots of other fruits will jam up. I'm not doing this as a jam video, so really I'm not going to be answering a lot of questions on jam making. It might just inspire you not to waste fruit, make things like this rather than throw things away. Now it's really lucky with raspberries, they've got a lot of pectin in them, as I said before. Some fruit doesn't have so much pectin, so it doesn't set so well, for instance, strawberries, and you have to add pectin into them by way of buying a pectin-based sugar, or you can actually add lemon pips or a bit of lemon juice in. That helps build up the pectin. So there are lots of other things. There are some great videos on YouTube showing how to make jam. I just hope that I inspire you not to waste fruit. Be good, share the love, give this one a thumbs up. I'll see you next time. Take care. And by the way, I'm going to use this raspberry jam in a video that's coming up either just before or just after this one, so keep a lookout for that. See you then. And whilst we're at it, I'll leave a link to some other videos here, and I hope you'll comment down below. I always love to hear what you guys have to say. Be good, take care of yourselves. See you next time.